Pleasantries. That can replace everything I say in the beginning. Pleasantries. Welcome to episode 147 of the Corey Shepherd podcast. Glad to have all you back. Glad to have all you here. And this is another episode that's dedicated to a Calypsonian, right? Lively-cated, because I say, I ain't waiting for nobody to dead and gone before we identify and pull out some of the biggest hits and do a dedication episode. And if they close their eye before we close their eye, we go do our next dedication episode because they may have enough hits to cover that. And this episode, we're going to discover some of the catalog and the discography of a fella by the name of Irwin Reyes Johnson. All you know him? You know, a song like Dirt in it. And you see, let me tell you something. It has some men in Calypso, right? I will get to all the culture and things. We will talk about Keke Palmer, and if all the fellas could control all their wife, we will talk about Adam 22. Everything on the docket full. But it has some Calypsonian way. It's take a very long time to pick 4 or 5 songs from them men, because them men have hits, albums worth of hits, and them men are catalogs. So maybe we had a split for some artists, right? We might have to split it into a few episodes. I remember Jay-Z one time doing a B-sides concert in New York where he didn't do none of his hits. He just do some of the favorites that was not mainstream hits. You see people like Irwin Reyes Johnson, we might have to do some where it wasn't mainstream hits. We had to do a B-sides episode. It has some of them with the list along. But before I get into him, it's the birthday of the King of Calypso. Who's the King of Calypso? we have our official King of Calypso, but the great Dr. Bird, the Great Mighty Sparrow, turned 88 years this year. So if I could borrow a little slice out of Scrunter time to just pay respect to the great one, with one of the lyrical gems. He's our next one of that catalog too, you know. When you see we had to do a Sparrow episode, it had to be a month of Sparrow. It's just too much songs. But I want to just open up with a lyrical gem. Shake up all yourselves too, wake up all yourself, you know what I mean? And you see the fact that Scrunter catalog so big is why it takes so long for the podcast to come out. I blame it on anything, you know. I'm not taking responsibility for nothing. But lyrical gem.
The girl from Grenada. I said the leader of the gang was hot like a pepper. And every man in the gang had a white handle razor. Well, I back until I nearly fall in the gutter. But just imagine my position as the police in the area. Soaking wet, mama, so much sweat. That tonight I can't forget 10 of them against me with 50 spectators. And the way they coming up like they want to devour. But in the heat of the excitement is then I remember. In my next pants pocket I forget me wedger. I don't know what to do but I just can't surrender. So they go cut me down as a smallest pretender. You could imagine how the planet was to be open liver. But as we close up together, I started to shiver.
Happy birthday to the great one, Mighty Sparrow catalog like Dirt. But as I say, it's an Irwin Reyes kind of episode, so we will get into that. And I have a long docket. Should I do 2 episodes this week? When I see I stop in where I stop, right? Because I have plenty left over from last week, and I have plenty to talk about this week. So wherever I stop, and we might bust the episode in 2. I can't stop before the next verse. No, the next verse too bad to leave out, right?
In the still of the night, I was really in a fright. Me alone against 10. Same vicious men I remember. I'm a chicken and drama. Well, I say to myself, that was my last summer. But I get away and I run till I'm by Johnson Corner. They take off in my tail with big stick and folder.
Yes.
Oh, well, the fella in front was a very good pelter. Battle and stone falling, but no place to shelter. You then I hear put out when the crowd said to scatter.
Get it. Happy birthday to the Mighty Sparrow. What do you want to do? Do you want to jump into topics one time, or you want to start because it's not much space. It ain't got much space in between topics. So maybe I should get to this man one time. Listen, it's a travesty to be short on time, you know, because some of them say, see, song like Judith and them kind of thing, right? And Scrunt have a few of them, you know. Song like Judith and these things is not no song to be stopping halfway. My apologies, because one of the greatest lines in Calypso is Carnival child don't have no father. Carnival child don't have no father. Hey, let me tell you something. Scrunter is the perfect blend of lyrics and melody. You could say a lot about a lot of the greats in Calypso, and when people talking about the favorite Calypsonians or the greatest soca artists of all time, Scrunter is tend to get pushed aside. Somehow he don't end up in the top 5 list of, you know what I mean? You hear people talk about Scrunter is their favorite. And somehow for the younger people too, Scrunter get to be known as a soca parang man. And I can't even say younger, maybe our generation, you know what I mean? Started get to know him as a soca parang man, which he is. And he would have stopped putting out soca parang hits. I mean, when you think about it, that's 10, 20 years ago you're talking about, you know, because he ain't really putting out a whole lot every year now. But the man catalog in soca parang stands on its own. But today I want to take a dive into the man catalog in soca because he spanned a few eras, you know. He spanned a few eras. If I'm not mistaken, from the late 70s, early 80s, coming up the road. And all the year 2000 and things, Scrunter still had hits. You know, they only have a few soca artists who would be able to accomplish that over the lifetime. And let me not forget that is people you're talking about, the elites. You're talking about Sparrow, Calypso Rose, Marshall Montano, Iowa George. These are the people who would have started, and decade after decade, still come with big songs and big hits. So we'll jump into a few. They gotta get slight surprise. All you know how this is go, right? All you know how this is go. We can't play whole song. I know how much whole song we could fit in, right? But we could try to fit them in. What I have here is a lot of spillage, right? I have a lot of spillage on the docket here. I want to deal with the spillage first because somehow, even though I have a very big screen in front of me with a lot of notes saying what to talk about, saying, Corey, don't forget to talk about this, literally written right in front of me. Somehow I forget to talk about things, right? So let me deal with spillage first. I want to salute and congratulate and thank the Hunters Association of Trinidad and Tobago. We all saw this story last week where a mother of a child who I think the child was on the spectrum, so she's not verbal, and she got lost. She went by her grandparents and she got lost and stuff. And the Hunters Association, as they always do, have volunteered to come out again and look for the child. And thank God the child was returned safely to her mother, safely to her parents, safely to her home. And when you see how overwhelmed that mother was with getting back her child, I mean, God forbid anything like that was happening. But anybody who have children, or I mean, any human could understand what that mother going through, or relate to it or see it. And in getting back her child, you could see the gratitude she had for the Hunters Association. And you know what was nice about that little video? If sorry, I missed it last week because it's a little old now, and I couldn't even find back the video to maybe include it in the YouTube. But one of the things about that video I find was pure was how proud the gentlemen in the Hunters Association was. That man was so proud and happy to just be able to be a contributor to making the place a positive place, to doing something for somebody, you know. And they've done that so many times. And he had a spare thought for their mental well-being, right? Because we had to remember the country we live in and how bad it could get, right? You know, Judith is such a powerful song where when you listen to Judith now, people who party in that era, Judith, might tell you how that song used to mash up fit, right? People who only know Judith as a back in time song could tell you how it is feel when you hear it in a fit. That's movement song, right? When you go and you listen to Judith properly, the man talking about any parent who's sending the child out there, you know, you watch. I have some little cousins, right? And one of them is listening to this podcast. A little girl, little child by the name of Sadie Shepherd and Anika Shepherd, right? Children. And I remember, that's the first exposure I have to little babies, you know, when you see a date is coming, then people is big woman. What you going to tell them? The most you could do now is hope that all the advice you give them, all the guidance you give them, because say these are good youth, you know what I mean? She's a good person. You know, you could see that when they're growing up. But as with any youth, you're going to grow up and you're going to take chances and you're going to go out on the line, and as safe as you might be, as respectful as you might be, stuff happens, incidences happen, all kinds of things in Trinidad, but people disappear, and whole big people disappear. And so when you have to send your child out to enjoy the carnival, to enjoy the experiences, you can't coop them up inside, right? You have to live, right? They want to travel, they want to go to school, they want to go abroad. Any parent could relate to Judith as a song when they sit down and they talk to the children to say, boy, listen, yeah, you go in your thing, be safe, make sure if you're driving, don't drink, make sure you secure your car keys, watch your surroundings before you go back to the car, all you stick together. Any parent would have give children them advice back in the day. So when you look at the genius behind putting together a song where Judith is a hell of a serious song. Judith is a hell of a serious song that we fet and we lime on the party too. I don't think that's an easy thing to accomplish, right? But back to the Hunters Association. Remember the society we live in, and remember what the headlines usually read. I see Earla Christopher this week. She done. She not talking about crime. First she say she going to solve crime in about. She said, give me about 15, 20 minutes. I go wrap up this whole murder situation. Then she says she A-class. Right now, as an A-class performer. Right now, we have it under control. On a scale of 1 to 10, how we doing? 10. I love the confidence. And she reached the point now where she's not taking any more questions from the media about crime. The CARICOM symposium wrap up last week. And she said, no, don't ask me nothing about crime. You know what I mean? No, give me her next 15 minutes, I think is basically what she's saying. She hunkered down. She working hard. But remember that the Hunters Association would be looking for people. And most of the times they go on looking for people is bodies they find it. That can't be an easy thing. That is a lot of strain that we mightn't be paying attention to enough as a society. You understand? And when I saw the pride and the joy in their face that they find this child and they were able to return the child to the mother, I wish I could see their face when they see the child and they realize the child was alive. Because one of the hunters said that they saw her across a river, but the child was deep. They see the body lying down. And, in that moment, you must be feeling like, oh, God, well, you're happy that you find the body, but it's another one of them situations where you have to come and bring bad news to people. And when they find the child was sleeping. That's to show how much stress that child was going through. But that joy that they feel, I hope that they find more joy like that. I don't want no more children to go missing or no more bodies to be disappearing and them kind of things in a utopian state. But anyway, the way it is now, and the police commissioner ain't taking no question. I hear from Minister of National Security in a while. It seems as though we will have more stories like this. So I'm just grateful for the Hunters Association and their involvement and their volunteering to do this, because it seems as though in this situation, they're finding more people than the police finding. So I just wanted to take a quick minute to salute them, right? I also want to salute the PNM leftovers, right? Spillage from the last episode, because I ain't lying. The PNM have a candidate here. Honestly, PNM have a candidate here. Name Latoya Graves Tinto, right? Let me talk so if I want to talk to her. Reading from the Express, right? They say a Oropoon woman went from rock bottom to having 4 streams of income. Latoya Graves Tinto hopes her life story will serve as a testament to encourage others to go after their dreams despite where they start off in life. Graves Tinto said her life began to spiral out of control at the tender age of 12. She said, I was taken out of my first choice school, Corpus Christi, which I had passed for, and placed before the court for uncontrollable behavior. She bad. They reprimanded me to St. Jude's Home for the Girls. I asked the magistrate to commit me until I was 18, which she did. Yeah, I had hidden hurts from my parents. I went there very weak-minded. I fought on the first day in defense of being bullied. I literally fought my way into being the big bad wolf. It gave me the power to be the leader of the entire compound. She bad. I was controlling the home in the most negative way possible. All the girls had listened to me and they were under my command. I instigated fights and I even helped children run away. No, I didn't really cater for all this, and I just find you more looking good. I didn't really cater for all this gangster. The unruly teen says she stayed in prison. Wait, what happened here? Things went from bad to worse for Graves Tinto, where her continuous bad behavior landed her in the woman's prison. At the age of 18. Listen, I wonder if I could put up some pictures of Latoya Graves Tinto on my Instagram. You see me? One of the things I'm going to stop doing, right? I'm not going to be doing things on this podcast for nobody joy and entertainment. And then when everybody going home laughing, I had to hear talk for a week about how I put woman up on the YouTube, and I ain't going through that. The unruly teen said she stayed in prison for approximately 3 weeks before being transferred back to St. Jude's. She said, after coming out, I felt I should take revenge. I gathered a crew and we damaged everything in the home. That is woman. We damaged everything in the home. She said, of course, I got caught again. Before they held me, I drank. Oh God. She drank poison. Trigger warning. Drank poison to end her life. She was rushed to the hospital. Doctors saved my life. Graves Tinto would spend another year raging at the world until she had an epiphany. She said her turning point was at 16. On my 3rd trimester to prison. For listeners who've been to prison, there's measure prison sentence in trimester. Okay, my 3rd trimester in prison, my mom fell in a man who will come in to visit me. Yes, Christ. What the hell is a tragedy story? She didn't tell me directly that she fell. I learned of it after telling her never to come to see me again. I felt crushed, thinking, what if she had died, coming to see me? No one ever made the effort to come look for me besides my mom. She came every Sunday to visit, and I would turn her down every single time. At this point, I made up my mind to make her proud and to do great things. I was on my best behavior moving forward. After a few weeks, I was placed back to St. Jude's. What the hell is going on? I'm waiting for the positive side of the story to come out. Who write the story in the Express? This is from Kimoy Leeson. Kimoy, where did turn around happen? She said at 16, right? She went back to St. Jude's, and then she had the opportunity to be in the fire service, where I started as an apprentice trainee. While training, I started classes to further my education. I eventually got my business subjects. I turned all my negative energy into a positive one and led all the girls with dignity. Yeah, I like that. It's using leadership skills to be better. I encouraged them all to do better, and most of them did. I left St. Jude's at 17 because of good behavior. I like that. So all right, that's why we get in there. It's Christ. And completed every course in the institution had to offer. Graves Tinto left the institution and continued to the fire service program, where she met her husband. This woman married. Wait, Hayden Tinto, is this woman's husband? All right, forget everything I just said. Scrap that. We vote in PNM because of PNM good policies and things. We're not voting PNM because of how Hayden Tinto wife looking. This woman, if you see it's good. Me and one marry say PNM. I find for local government, you should have to be single to go up for local government. We could vote based on looks, you know. If only want to make this a Miss Universe, you know what I mean? They can have a Miss Local Government competition and excite this place a little bit. European businesswoman says she started her family along the way and now has 3 children. She opened an online clothing store, following year, registered a spa. I'm no longer interested in this story, you know, because I'm married. You know what I mean? I told you woman available. I come to throw her to the single listeners of the Corey Shepherd podcast, so I could run in. But when you get a minute, one check Graves Tinto Instagram. PVM know how to select candidates, and my thing to that is UNC. What say you? How you answering this back? Only like back and forth, only like tit for tat. PNM put a A grade, a hot thing. What you gonna do for you anyway? Let me get into serious matters now. Let me get into this week's business. Where we starting this week? I was going to talk more woman and think, I really want to talk about Keke Palmer and think, why? For those of you who might have been on that rock, Keke Palmer is she's a star. She's an actress. She sing and thing too. She was a Disney star, right? And she a big woman now. She been around. You see her active on Instagram and them things. I saying she's an actor, but I can't remember much shows she acted in. I think she acted in a spelling bee thing with Denzel Washington. That right or wrong? That's the kind of show. She what do you call her? A-class actor, like A-list person. Let me see what movie she was in. But either way, she turned from a little girl to a big woman now, just like Graves Tinto. And recently, she come out and say she had a baby. Now, if you're a Mako like me and you're up to date with the thing, you never know Keke Palmer no man. You never see her do too much a man scene and them kind of thing. But anyway, she come out. She had a baby. My name is Darius Dalton. He's also he's an actor too, but he's not really on Keke level. I could say that he didn't reach Keke level in terms of acclaim and fame, right? And notoriety. So, over the last week, Keke Palmer went to Usher. Usher have a residency in Vegas, right? So basically, with those residencies, they perform in the same show multiple times a week usually, or with somebody as big as Usher, it might be just one show per weekend. It seems to be one of the hottest tickets in the States now, because I saw this come up on Joe Budden podcast the other day, where Joe Budden and his girlfriend was in the front row, and Usher come, he say, "Here goes my baby," you know, "Girl, look at you," and he go down in the crowd now, and he finds some people who looking like babies, and he hold them and he thing, and make it a part of the show, right? I want to say that when I was a young fella in my 20s, what you used to call men like Usher, and them is vicious men. Usher is a vicious man. This is not a nice thing Usher is doing, because every minute he in the news now with this, right? Because it went viral when he went by Joe Budden. He asked Joe Budden very respectfully, kind of gave him a signal and said, "Can I?" And then he hold the lady hand, she stand up, they do a little rock and a dance, and then he say, there goes his baby, and play like respectful and then walk up. But Usher is a vicious man. This is not the kind of games he played. And they can't play these kind of games in this internet era, right? I don't like it. I don't like the game. I don't like it because it's easy. Put yourself in them position, right? Pretend to be a A-list star for a while and you going out with your woman, plenty ego involved in them thing, right? You sit down to take any show. Usher come and ask you, Corey, can I? with the Usher Raymond style. If I say no, I's a punk. You understand? Imagine you say, nah, brother, no. I's a punk. And I see some people do that with Salt Bay. They go and buy Salt Bay and Salt Bay want to sprinkle salt in the woman mouth. They say, they ain't tolerating that. Which I never understood, because to me, if you go by Salt Bay and know that is part of the show, you want to put the meat in the woman mouth. Pause. So, I thinking you don't know what the Usher show is about and you do it. What you would do as a man? Yeah, to me, right? This me. I might be a punkin' through, but I go kind of had to say, well, go ahead, right? Go through. And I had to smile and pretend like, remember, Usher and Joe Budden know one another too, right? So he plays off. Usher was respectful and the woman was respectful. Usher hold her hand, she thinks she do a rock and a dance. She's a smart woman too, because even though Usher was doing the thing, she stayed very focused on Joe. So any little woman who, if you, as a woman who listening here, for in these situations, maintain eye contact. That's my little advice. Maintain eye contact. Keke Palmer, on the other hand, did not go with Daiur, right? And it's plenty issues behind this thing. You're going without Daiur, so it look like a girl's line. Keke Palmer have on a beach wear with a shawl. She look good. She look good. All the things she look good. But she have on a beach wear with a shawl. That way it's called a shawl. And it's see-through. You know what I mean? They say, like that, like you will see plenty of that in boat ride in Trinidad. The over 40 boat ride. You see when you go Scotch and them things, you see Scotch and dance over the weekend. When you're in your 20s and thing, you just wear the undergarments. You just wear bikini, thonkini, whatever. But when you're in your 30s and thing, you just start to wrap a shawl. But Keke Palmer, I guess, a new mother and all that, she has a shawl on. But the woman look very good, right? So my first question to the men who listening is, when you're not going, can your woman, your wife, your girlfriend, the one you claim publicly, because we know man different, you know, man have a different attitude with woman who is the wife versus woman who is the girl from a long time versus in Trinidad they say your personal girl versus a girl you're checking versus a girl you're dealing with. We have different attitudes towards all these things. So a woman you're dealing with might be able to dress and go anyhow she wants. You have no problem with that. You like that. But your wife, you might have a problem. Or you tread mother on them. You might not like if you tread mother on them dressing so, right? My question to you is your personal, the one you claim publicly, because the one who you claim publicly is the one who, number one, had the most ammunition to hurt you. And that's in your private personal life, because them is the hurtful one, right? The one you claim publicly. That is the hot belly and can't eat, and you're driving and you forget where you're going, and you're talking and you forget what you're talking about. You're going to work in a meeting. Somebody says something about thing with you, and you know what we'll do is we'll do an upgrade of the thing. And you start to remember the whole years it's about upgrading all your house and the back room, and you want to cry on your inside. That is the one you claim. And the one you claim publicly is also the one who have the greatest potential, not just to hurt you, but to embarrass you, because you just feel embarrassed. Man, just take the personal girl and the wife and thing as an extension of the self. I want to tell you this too. You see friend groups of men, your skin had to be thick. I mean, it's a little different in your 40s now, but when you're going through it in your 20s and things, where's Keke Palmer age? When you're going through it from all the way from your teenage years up to maybe mid-30s or even late 30s, right? You have to be able to take talk. Because when you claim that woman and man see she gone out without you, and cheeks is in his sun, you know what I mean? His sun cheeks. Man asking you a question and they say, boy, soldier, boy, listen. And then them kind of thing, because you don't want to done. You know much a friend group, I lime it. And man like Colonel on many faces, and these fellas gain your talk. When the men done get your talk, you don't like the woman again, and the woman where you was in love with. The woman where you're in love. You don't like she again. I don't have no more feelings towards you at this moment in time. So I want to know how all you feel. Will you? I don't want to use words like let and thing because Keke Palmer, 29 she is, right? She's 29 years old. That's pretty young. Would you be comfortable? Let me put it like that. I ain't gonna put me in no problems with women by using words like let and them kind of thing, no? But would you be comfortable if your woman going out like that when you're not there? Or is it different when you there versus when you're not there? I go answer my own questions too, because coincidentally, the woman who I claim who have the most potential to hurt me, who have the most potential to embarrass me, I see she leave home in a Keke Palmer thing already. I lie down here watching TV. I see she wrap me, it was a dress, a shawl, but whatever it was see-through. And cheeks is in the rain. Dark cheeks is in the rain. It's in the rain. It's in the sun and the rain. It's in the element. No shelter. You understand what I'm saying? And to tell you the truth, me I feel no way. Me I feel no way. I don't know if I went through too much already. I don't see too much. I don't jaded already. I mean, my philosophy too is that at the end of the day, you can't stop nobody from doing nothing that they want to do. People go and do what they want to do at the end of the day. And me hurting up my head over what you choose to do when you go out. I also think me and Stacey have a long, we together long, right? We together long. We married short, but we together long, right? You work out the maths there. So I don't trust that she ain't going to embarrass me out there and thing. And I also feel like if she do something to embarrass me, we will address it cordially when she reach home. And we go talk about it and she reasonably enough, she will get a little back and forth. But when he has, you know what I mean? No, but she might get a little back and forth, but we go figure that out. So me ain't getting no horrors if she leave home. So, but I saw online that plenty men had a problem with the way she dress and leave home. Now I want to put this in cultural context because as Trinis, we are accustomed to a certain thing. We are accustomed to carnival. Darius is 27. But we are accustomed to carnival and we are accustomed to seeing the woman leave home all how we woman seeing we are accustomed to leaving home all how we just leave home and go bareback with whining on strange woman and fed. Many couples married wife and married husband. Just go fet and the husband jam something and a man jam the wife and everybody. We culturally we might be a little more, I want to say slacker, but I will say accepting of these types of things. Fast forward past the dress, right? She done gone. When Usher come to do the thing, Keke Palmer get up, she look excited, she look happy, she look like a fan, right? She look like a fan of Usher. I suppose if you go and you pay for them tickets up front, they are a fan. You know what the experience is too, so you may be hoping for that. So when he choose you, he excited about it. And she do a little twirl and a spin around and show him the little elements, and you know what I mean? And she hold him and Usher watch down. Usher is a vicious man. As I see somebody say online, Usher could easily say, we're all the single ladies, we're my single ladies, and do that with single people. Usher know Keke Palmer. Usher would know Keke Palmer just had a baby. She know he have a man. You know the man is not no top tier. If Keke Palmer is a A-list, the man is about a C. D for Darius, he a D-list. He not up there. You come and you... So you cause strife in the household now because let me tell you as a man, right? Let me just say as a man, as a youth, 27 years old. So for me, I was not fully formed in my language, like not my English language, in my getting what is in my brain or my emotional feelings to external language. I couldn't say how I feel about things. It was hard to do. So I used to lash out in different kind of ways, and I mean, what I see this boy tweet. This man say, basically respect yourself as a mother. Now, I'll say this, right? As an older man, as a middle-aged man, as a man who had to trim before I record because the roof blow off and it's all hell break loose. As a man who, I want hair to grow on my head and it don't grow. Everywhere I don't want hair to grow, it grow. I seen gray all over, right? Who've been through a few things. I will say, number one, as you try to have private conversations. Your wife done gone out. I know that feeling, right? I understand that feeling where you mightn't too trust your woman or you're going through whatever all you're going through. She gone out. So you're uneasy. You're uneasy. Sometimes you have to play man and say, well, all right, yeah, you go ahead. You have to play man. You want to say, don't go nowhere. You cannot leave. But you can't say that. especially in this era. In we time, we might still say that and get away, but I can't say that. And let me tell you something, youth. Don't try that, because let me tell you, it ain't nice when you tell them they can't go and they get up and they go. And I went through that already. I went through a seeing a woman at a time, right? Me and the woman had a little problems. We always, everybody have problems. But I was on the receiving end of some what you would call butt, right? You know what I mean? And I know about it. We done discuss it. We working through the butt. We in the butt situation. The horn is still fresh. And let me tell you something. Now that I older, I understand that while the thing fresh and we working thing out and everybody's sorry and everybody trying to, I harboring some feelings. And she harboring some feelings for the man, because listen, you can't just say if you would like somebody to the point where they get together and your man find out. Them thing though, it's a no off switch that just say, all right, my man find out we done. Them had to do their breakup too. If I wish I'd understand that when I was young. So them must be still communicating. I trying to make sure she can communicate. I in heavy surveillance mode right now. I in GPS surveillance mode. Meanwhile, you talk to the man as if they're doing something, right? But I must even damage that time, man. So in the midst of that, this girl come and tell me she going a Honor Man party. I can't remember. The name of the party was Unfaithful. All you remember Unfaithful? Hey, in this life, you have to go through all kinds of things in this life. You know, this life is to enjoy. This life is to laugh and talk and enjoy yourself. You know what I mean? In the midst of this thing, she tell me she and she girls going unfaithful. Boy, I can't sleep. I tell her no, she can't go. I say no. But listen, I lock my door. I say, you can't come out, you can't go. This boy, that girl bust out that door and go on that thing. I vex. And you know, all the vex are vex and all the cuss and carry on. But I call she all kind of ho. You know, that the default. And you know, the thing is, I know children, but I could tell you that if we had a child, I might do just what Daiur say and say, as a mother, you have respect for yourself as a mother, because part of what you want to do is when you can't language it, right, and you're hurting as a young man, especially. I can't talk for a woman, right? As a young man, part of what you want to do when they're hurting you, so it's to hurt them back. And when you're saying things about yourself, the way you're feeling, and she's still disregarding that, you're trump card now. You know what I mean? You're trump card. Is a mother, respect yourself. But boy, listen, you should never do. Boy, don't tell no woman that. Remember that is still a child. That is still a child mother. It is not worth telling a woman that under. I can't see what circumstance it have unless she's really a bad mother and a threat to the child and a threat to the development of the child, the household. Even when you say that, at that point, you have to figure out how to say that with some love and some counseling and them things. You better, when a woman make a child, don't tell them nothing for about 2 years. It ain't worth that fight. Don't tell them about 2 years, you just keep quiet. If you ain't like certain things, you step up and try to do the things if you feel the woman ain't doing it. Talk to the child, but you don't talk to the mother for about 2 years, because it have a period of lack of sleep and irrationality that they might not admit to until year 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? But you go, the thing about it, when you're in these things, you go live to see. Because that same moment I tell you, we're going on faithful, it's fight, we don't want to leave, you don't leave the house, and she gone still. And boy, listen, me and she good up to today. She's very cool. Everybody good. I'd be just happy to see people doing good. So you go live past all them things and everybody will be fine. But this man went and tweet out, as a mother, you'll bottom outside. I just doing the Trinidadian version. Your mother, you're going to bottom outside and respect for yourself. And so, of course, in this era, the Twitter people went wild because women, bodies can't be policed. I'm trying to language this thing in these new era people way, right? Don't police women, what is called it, dressing, the wardrobe, whatever it is, do police women. And the men and them now saying, but you're going there and you embarrass me and you're this and you have no behavior and all that kind of thing. And I think somewhere along the line, people forget the way algorithms work, right? The way an algorithm work is it is likely to show you two things. It is likely to show you more things that support your point of view. So if you say, only woman wicked, or too wicked, or I don't respect a man, or just leave the man home, and all these girls there, always lie, man. If that's your stance, and that's the way you feel, you are going to see a lot more tweets, Instagram posts, threads. Only join threads. Follow me on threads, you know. I know is my name on threads, but 5 minutes. I can't remember. But you're going to see more of that. And then you're also going to see some people who are against your idea, but you are going to see the most radical versions of the people who are against your idea, saying that this is the problem. Always like women get too much of freedom. Them women should be home seeing about the children. They shouldn't go nowhere. They shouldn't go no Usher tickets and them kind of thing. Women should be enslaved. You're going to see the most extreme versions of those things. Yes, but did you not come here when I record? You always trying to be in the source. Bye. Yeah, you're gonna see the worst version of the people who are against you. So what it does is it gets you incensed and make you even more entrenched in your position. But people seem to forget that, because all the women who was against Daiur for policing women, and this is the kind of thing that we had to stand up for as women, and this is why we're independent and we don't want no man, and all of them see more and more opinions like that. And they also see the most drastic of men who say, what you need is a butu. What you need is a butu for these women. If you used to hire butu, they would have never be doing these kind of things, right? You just see the most drastic version. So there's no coming together or no common ground on these issues. You get what I'm saying? So people upset, but I want to know how people feel. Like, what would you feel if the woman come and tell you she's going unfaithful? No, if she dress something and she go on with Usher. I want to bring it back in our cultural context to it, because for me personally, when I see what Keke Palmer do with Usher, that come like nothing to me. I don't really care. That I don't know that if Stacey go out and do that with her friends, I don't know that bothered me in a way. The part that might bother me the most is when man come to give me small talk in a little friends group about, boy, you let a woman go up. Then I will start to get lancy. But with them, not so much with her. But you know, some of them antsiness, this overflow home. When I go on my line, I go to play golf, I play football and thing, and man gave me talk there under the shed after football, we drinking 2 beers. I want to bring some of that vexation home. But I will get over that fast because I ain't look bad. But I want to put it in our cultural context. Because when our artists call up birds on stage, it don't go so. Marshall, Kess, imagine Kess call up your wife on stage and she say, wifey, how your mango sweet so, mango sweet, and she start to mango sweet so, you might feel away. It's like, I was talking to Stacey about this and she was reminding me about Chance the Rapper. Chance the Rapper went through a whole scene the other day because he went Bahamas Carnival, I think it was, and he wind up on some woman and thing. But Chance like to play pious, you know what I mean? He's a gospel man or whatsoever. He is the best married man. You know these best married man. When there's the best married man it have, when they broke loose, the whole world is be waiting to see that. So he wind up on some woman, he do some little slap boom and them think, no, again, if Stacey go and play, me and Stacey, I play mass with you, Stacey ain't playing no mass with you. She said she playing with the Lost Tribe next year. I feel I retire next year, right? While we on this note, I ain't sure that I have the stamina, and I know that I enjoy mass enough to not stay home next year. But when she go and play she mass, me studying who she whining on or what she doing when she cool, come home safe. That's my one philosophy. Reach home safe. Don't let nothing happen to you out there. Don't let nothing happen in the streets. Anything I'm saying, call me. But I don't think I would like to see a video Stacey going Bahamas Carnival, she and the body squad, and man slapping up. At that point, as a wife, as a woman who in a relationship, I find you should just say, hey, cool it. Relax yourself. Bust your kite. You understand? I like to see women are with blank man too. You know? It's just mental. I don't think it's bottom when you take a wine, but I like to see them blank man too. And easy yourself. You understand? So everybody have a different take on that, but in our cultural context, your wife, Marshall, call your wife on stage. Marshall and them is vicious men, disrespectful. They ain't care what they do, woman, and say, I don't know that I could handle that. I don't know if when we reach home, it could be the same context. So maybe the way I see in Keke Palmer might be just cultural for me, while Daiur seeing that as a huge disrespect. You know what I mean? Like how I would see Marshall, if Marshall lift you up and throw you down on the ground, or you going up and say the Trinidad Killer, he flip and, not Trinidad Killer, what the next one name? Mr. Killer. He flip and he whine and he duck under your so and he throw you up. I don't like that. Don't throw. I find it has some ground rules. Don't let neither your 2 foot leave the ground. For no reason. We cock up no 1 foot. Let me keep it 2. Let me stay grounded. You know, when I say it's like a household to come back to. So this boy lose the fight when he make that kind of tweet, because instead of saying I ain't like how you move, or having a private, no, most importantly having a private conversation, and the private conversation had to be, you're out there and you're embarrassing me. I don't like that. I don't like. I feeling that kind of way. I feeling when you do things like that, you're hurting me. I feeling like if you don't value me, you ain't value my opinion about things. You ain't studying how I will feel about you and Usher Lyman. And they say she stay back to play spades. I don't like that. I don't like that. I think the deeper problem here too is that you see when man and woman not equally yoked. What do they say? Yoked? That's the right word? It's be a problem, you know. And I want to say, I can only talk from the perspective of a man, as I say. When you was a man and your woman in the next league than you, it take a special kind of man to handle that, you know, because in this day and age where everything fluid, gender fluid, relationship roles fluid, parental roles fluid, household roles fluid. Anybody could be anything apparently in this era, right? But me grew up in that era, no? I didn't grow up in that time. And you see, my household is my responsibility. That is my place to run. I is the king. Remember I tell you, as a man, are you running here? Nobody can. Me, according to Abu Bakr tell you all that time, you're running your house or you're running around your house. You see me, I used to run my house. I don't like, I mean, want nobody else run my place. I go decide what is happening here. No, I'm not saying that to say that I'm running an oppressive regime because I can't run my house without my wife. There's plenty she's do that I can't do. And the list long. Let she tell you, the list is forever. But at the end of the day, I had to be responsible for what is happening here. Because they could say what they want about gender roles and all them kind of things. You see me? If tomorrow that door kick in, bang, in this country we live in, and the Hunters Association are around to save we, I lock in my wife and my child somewhere in a room and I'm going to defend the palace. I'm going to defend it. You see me? I here to protect and to provide. I believe in all them kind of rules. Now, I'm not saying anybody else have to believe in them kind of rules, but I could say that if I was with somebody and they don't really see that as the role, and they see it as the woman must be the one to defend the house, and I must lock up in the bedroom with the child, and them go and fight bandit, or I must stay home whole day, and them go earn, and you know what I mean? They earning good money, so I go stay home and mop and sweep and clean and all them kind of thing. I don't think we don't make it. Honestly, I don't think we don't. That's not for me. I would not be feeling good about myself in that relationship. And if I learn one thing about the Catholic marriage retreat counseling, whatever they call it, one thing I learned about that is what they were saying is picture our marriage like a triangle, right? And this is your wife and this is your husband. And at the top of the triangle is God. You call God whatever you want, right? The universe, whatever new version, or they have a God. And what them men say is work on yourself. Work on yourself, getting closer to God, right? And we will slide your way up the triangle, and by both all you're working on that, all you will come together. And that is one of the greatest thing I ever hear. That changed my perspective plenty, because you cannot work on nobody else. I can't tell Stacey what to say. She's an adult. She's a big woman. I have to leave it to her to do what she wants and make all the choices in her life. And she can't tell me what to do. I make all the choices in my life. So if I'm in a household where you telling me you in charge of what happening, you go deal with all these situations, then I mightn't be comfortable, I mightn't like myself, and in that relationship I mightn't be the best version of myself to work towards God. So I gone and find one of these modern day men who could deal with that kind of situation. So I feel like this is one of the issues Keke Palmer and them going through. And you know, to be honest with you, I'm not sure if this is a very Trinidadian issue, or if this is a Yankee and them problem, because to me, the Yankees and them have a lot of these things going on with women and the way women feel about the world and the thing, and they're independent and they don't need. Although, I see a video on MYOB, on MYOB the other day. Should I venture to play this video? It's bad, you know. But I think MYOB is blowout cussing, right? MYOB is bloody cussing. So let me see if I can play it, and according to how bad it's song, we could just pretend that never happened, right? But it's a young girl, a young good-looking girl, you know. A young good-looking girl, but like she fed up all your man. Hear what this girl had to say.
I could never have a man out there any hot son after I know me for day doing this. I know that.
Right.
Can show.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that man had a hello. And I say so.
Right.
I don't have no man.
Right.
None. All of them don't pay my bills already.
Right.
All them man good for.
All right, you can play that part, right? But she was putting pressure in her tie, right? No. The way I see this girl talking, I say, well, like she rebuilding her car from scratch. The way she talking here, it had to be that after she built up the car from scratch, she put a pressure in the tire as the last step in building the car because she talking like putting pressure in her tire so hard. I mean, come on. So she vexed because she had to be getting up. According to her, she now done bathe and she need hot sun putting pressure in her tire. And she vexed because she said she can't have no man, because if she have a man, she can't be out here doing this, and the man done double she bells and man can't do nothing for she and things. So it have some of that down here, but I don't feel, I mean, certainly not in our era. Not a whole lot of it, at least I'm gonna put it that way. And not publicly either. Them things, conversations might be happening privately, and or maybe I not spending enough time on TikTok and them things. But Keke Palmer, let me make the assumption that she have a more successful career than them. Let me assume that she making more money than them and things. So she might be running the household. And part of the issue with, you could be a woman making more money than you. There's a conversation people doesn't like to have, and everybody say yes until it's time to deal with that, right? Because I ain't talking about you making a 10,000 and your wife making 12,500. I'm talking about your salary is 10,000 and your wife making $85,000 a month and 120 post bonuses and all them kind of after, you know what I mean? I'm talking about them kind of price difference, because that puts in all into different worlds, right? Because with a $10,000 job, your network is a different network than somebody who making 120,000, right? I want to add to that. The kind of man who coming wrong when your wife making 120. Can you handle it? Can you handle it? I've been through these things. You know. Let me advance it beyond just the money. You see, the fame and the recognition, that is another thing. Can you handle it when you sit down with your woman and you're talking and having a little dinner and thing, and you see the phone ring? Brian Charles Lara. Marshall Jesus Montano. I've been through these things, you know. Can you handle it? How you gonna deal with that? Can you still be the man that you feel you should be in your house? Can you still protect the household when you see your phone ring and you see Bohindra Tiwari, David Mohammed? I've been through these things. What the man from Howard, the president of Howard name again? I've been through these things. When you see them kind of names ringing on the phone, and you making 10, your wife making 120. Them fellas making millions, right? So, I'm not saying that a woman automatically gonna go with somebody more famous or somebody. If she with you, she love you, right? But when Brian call and she say, "Hi, Brian," and I say, "Wait now, you don't say Brian Lara, you just say Brian." These is the conversations. How you having them conversations, and when you start to have them conversations out in your mind now, because you're hearing how simple you're sounding when you're having them conversation out loud, can you handle it? Because these are the kind of things that come with that kind of territory, and I feel that what Darius was going through. So when Darius say, "Hi Ray," when Keke make a call, she say, "Ray, I want about 5 tickets for me and my girls and this and thing," and Darius say, "Who Ray? Ray Charles? Ray Charles come back? Are you going on Ray Charles show? Or you can't carry me?" And she said, "No, dummy, that's Usher." And he said, "Wait now." He said, "So it's called Usher Ray? He's called Usher Ray?" You just have to feel our way already. It bubbling up on the inside. It bubbling up. And then when you see what she have on, it start to bubble up more. But you can't, what you're gonna say? What you're gonna say? Because it's very likely that if you was in the same situation and Keke Palmer go and see Ray, but you are not Darius, wherever your name be, but you Denzel Darius Washington. When you up there, you know Ray too. It's a different kind of conversation, because when she say, "Hi Ray, I want to get 4 tickets for thing," he's like, "No, I don't want to call Usher, I go sort all that, and me and Usher good. I'll call Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones here what to do? Book out the whole of Vegas, book out the whole of thing. Me and my wife have a private show, tell Usher sing. Tell Usher sing, we coming through." And there's a different kind of respect. So it's the same scenario. The woman not doing, I don't care what Keke Palmer do, right? I'm talking about the men. The man in that situation could look at that situation different if you're equally yoked versus if you're very unequal versus if you're over equal. If you're over equal, it's a different conversation and a different ball game and a different world. You understand? Let me talk about the woman for a while. Let me go back to Joe Budden, right? Part of the issue is this. Joe Budden's wife do a nice little thing and she say, hey, Usher and thing, and she lock eyes with she man and everybody smiling, and a little bit again she hold Joe hand too, so she make sure, and she hold Joe hand tight to make it look like you holding Joe hand but Usher holding your hand. You ain't holding back, you know what I mean? You ain't rubbing no back on the neck and looking down in no eye like Keke to hot man heart, right? Or we say it's embarrassing man while he ride there with you. That will not go well, right? I could pretty safely assume with Joe Budden and his wife that he overyoked, right? He overyoked. I don't know the woman personally, but she ain't no celebrity. She ain't no Andrew Budden, a man like a little strip club and a little bartender too. So he overyoked. So I'll say this about the woman, right? When a woman in a situation where she very underyoked, she have a different level of appreciation and understanding of that situation. Because when you hold a man who overyoked, that man have a lot of options. A lot of the options you would probably know about before from conversations, from going out with him. You see how they interact and you see kind of some of the people who willing to get his man in number game attention. So imagine you with a man now, and everywhere you go is, hi Joe, hi. You seeing the best of the best. You see the best of the best coming out. Hi Joe, hi, how are you? And they have an extra hole, and when they done hole and say hi, and they see you and thing, they say, all right, hi. It happened to me already, you know. I telling you. All right, Siri, relax.
I'm listening.
No, you're not listening. We recorded. Yeah. When I went place already, where man come and see. I having dinner with that boy that time. A very, very popular son of a famous politician. The man comes to the table and just say, hi, how you going? And she lights up like, hi. And big hug and thing. And then she say, this Corey, this is my boyfriend. Now man do so. All right. And went back to here. And boy, you see, go through them, go through anything. But yeah, you going on the bird hugging, you have the best of the best. Or superstars. He going out and Scissor come, or Sweetie, or City Girls come. And then they see you, they say, all right, cool, yeah, because he's nobody. I mean, again, she have a different level of, I try not to use the word respect, but appreciation for that situation and what it is, and the fact that you're dealing with somebody who is what Kevin Samuels would call a high value man or a star. You see them superstar thing and think that's a different ball game, right? So your level of tolerance for some of them things might be higher, but you also don't want to lose that situation. So you're not taking certain chances. But I will say that when the woman overyoked, I don't know that she considering them same thing. I mean, not saying that all women, so because there's some women who they could make how much ever money, they could have how much ever fame, them going to remain very respectful of the situation. They will take them man, husband, boyfriend thoughts into consideration and make sure that he okay and not do certain things at all, just from a moral standpoint. There's certain things that they're not going to do. No man ain't going to be able to lift up them leg and do all them kind of thing if you put it in our culture. They're not going to allow it. They're not on that. But if you find one who overyoked and that is your portion, you have a little rough road as a man. So I feel it for Daiur. Daiur don't start bad when he make that tweet. That tweet was ridiculous. Don't be telling no woman about them mother and thing. Not if you want to have a happy household that continues. So last thing I see was both of them unfollow one another on Twitter and them kind of thing on wherever, threads. Everybody unfollow one another. And I'm hoping to see eventually what becomes of their relationship. I hope they make it up. I mean, they have a child to see about, so they'll be cordial and them kind of thing, but it's not it ain't looking good. And in the local context, you know what it reminds me of too? Because I think whether man or woman, right? And women might be better at this than men. Just historically, man, capitalism and all that, man put himself in a position where we earn more than women for a long time, right? So women might be accustomed to this position a little more than men. And men might be having some difficulty adjusting to this because we now live in a world where it's easier to find a woman who overyoked. You know what I mean? You find a lot of women who making good money. They're high up in businesses. A woman is a boss. You know what I mean? I teach so many. I lecturing for 10 years now. Was it 12 years now? And every single class I had at both master's, bachelor's, associate degree level, all the classes I ever lecture had more women than men. So it stands to reason that at some point women going to take over the governance of corporations. They'll take over politics. They you know, anything that higher education will lead you to more achievement, they were likely to take over those fields, and it happened already. So women might be more accustomed to having a man who, I don't want to just say earning more, but more famous, have title, have position, have societal pull, have power, and so on. And men might be now starting to get accustomed to dealing with women of power and them kind of thing, because you dealing with Shamfa Kujo, when them go out there and start to make poem and start to say this and that, and them on the podium right through, and you're going in a space now when nobody recognizes you and everybody recognizes them, and you have your little manly ego to deal with now. You have to take a back seat right through, open the door for you. You know what I mean? He in some problems, because when I open the door for a woman, it might be looking like chivalry. When you open a door for one of them over your woman, it starts to look, you start to feel now like, wait, now I working for you, or I open all the door. It's a big difference. But when I look at the entrepreneurial thing or the superstar world, they have some concessions on some things I think you just have to accept. So if I decide I deal with Keke Palmer clearly overyoked, right? She overyoking me. And she going out somewhere with Usher. I think I had to be respectful of her enough to know that, number one, that's my wife and she ain't go ill treat me and she ain't go embarrass me. But number two, she is a superstar too. And that is a moment for her. And that viral moment could lead to betterment for our household and for her career. And you had to be in a position where you're secure enough to be supportive of that. This is a star. These things are going to happen. You know what's a good example of it? Brian and Destra. Brian is Destra's husband, right? Destra is do something. Destra is do what Usher is do. She call man up on stage and she get them the little, you know what I mean? And she had the long nails on her man neck. And you know what them long nails is do for you home. And you know how she's watched certain things. So when she watch a certain way, and that could be very hurtful. You could end up tweeting, hey, yes, mother, respect yourself. Watch what Destra does well. When she go on stage, you come out the whole again, taking the element. Bam bam getting wet when rain falling. That could be very hurtful, but Brian seemed to be as a husband and her manager too. He seemed to be okay with that. I've never heard anything where he was overly, I mean, maybe one, where somebody was sending some kind of nudes to Destra and he addressed it. But other than that, you could see that he respect her career, he respect that she's a star. If you are her manager, I'm assuming that you could assume that if you look at individual incomes, and I'm not sure they look at it that way anyway, but if you look at individual incomes, Destra probably making more money than him, she more famous than him. A star. But he figured out well out. They've been together since forever. Since I know about Destra, they've been together. And them have a nice little arrangement. So unless you have the manliness, the what you want to call it, the alphahood, whatever it might be, or just the security in yourself, like Brian. Better you forget superstars and them kind of thing. It's not going to work out good for you. It ain't going to work out good because that is that could be stressful and it could be. And the thing about it is nothing wrong with that. You know, I sometimes people act like if something wrong with Daiur saying, you see this situation here, I don't like it. I feel disrespected by these things. I feel hurt when you do these kind of things. And when I address it with you, I'm not getting any kind of change or redress or adjustment, or I'm not feeling like my feelings taken into consideration. So I'm leaving, and best of wishes. You know what I mean? Mind your child for yourself. He's a single mother now. You understand? Nothing wrong with that. That's just joking. I see about the child, right? But nothing wrong with that too. You're in this situation and it's rough and whatever. You could leave. You could leave. You don't have to prove your manhood to nobody. You alone could define what is manhood or womanhood for you. So a woman is the same situation if you with a man. If you with a man like what do you name? Boy Dingo, or one of these youths Squid did that. So if you would one of them and that is too much for you to handle in terms of all them sort of woman dance with you every night and whining and thing, and then if you can handle that, nothing wrong with saying, here, we're going on, my boy, listen, you see me, I don't want this. What you doing, I find it disrespectful. You might find somebody else who find that is cool, but the thing will be me, and I respect myself based on my own standards. I want to walk away from that situation. And remember another situation in the States, C2. Oh, what's about Adam 22, boy? As he fellas. Adam 22 is a popular podcaster, right? Podcaster. Who used to run a podcast called No Jumper, right? Doing rapper interviews and them kind of thing. And Adam 22. Wait, now I'm supposed to be playing Scrunter. Are we getting there? Adam 22. This episode busted into for sure. Adam 22 was also a porn star. Now, I didn't know this porn star side of him, right? I only know Adam as an interviewer, interviewing several rappers. Joe Budden was on that podcast before, so we've seen Adam 22 around over the years. And he recently got married. And now, after getting married, now, his wife is also a porn star, right? I should mention that. It seems as though they met in the porn world and they married. And they used to do scenes with other women. But she never do a scene on a man other than him. Apparently, they've been having discussions behind closed doors, which he publicized through his platforms. That it keeping back her career, and she have several offers on the table to do things, because I guess if you only do things with your man, you become more coveted, right? You know, these things is work. So her price going up, and she have real big opportunities to go on, do it, right? And at 22, they decided that she would do it, and she do it recently on a site called Blacked, right? No. If you hear the word Blacked and you laugh, get a psychiatrist, get a therapist in your life. What the hell going on with you if you know what that is? If you don't know what it is, I don't suggest you go and look for it. Understand? Don't look. Pretend you never hear that. But she went on Blacked, which is famous for BBC. And if you think BBC is a news channel, salute to you. You're going to heaven. But if you know what BBC is, hell, all of us going together, right? But that is where she went and she do the scene. And this man is now justifying this thing and also lining up others, because apparently now there's a lot of lining up of other people coming in now. Kai Cenat, a famous YouTuber, come on and say or streamer come on and say he in Aiden Ross. So this is no bueno. Again, I don't know what it takes to be no porn star. I don't know what it takes to be no superstar, but I know what it takes to openly know you have a woman who went out today and watch BBC, right? They partake in some BBC. And you had to lie down and sleep. I know that thing. And I know, just like I said with Darius, I know I might be able to handle that. So it's better I stay away from that and I don't deal with them kind of problems. Better I stay away from them types of issues. And if it come down to those kind of things, better I be by myself.
Roll on. Yeah.
I forget how to play Scrunter.
Yeah. Hey. Till I always had you on my mind. I have been watching you for some time. You know you set my eyes on fire. Girl, you are my heart's desire.
When I see you passing in your sexy Paris, girl, I often wonder
bachelor. Come over. You know, flour gone now. What's the situation? What we gonna do? I see everybody since last week. Nutrimix dropped the prices of flour. And I was waiting to hear what the big boy go say, because NFM is basically market leader. Them is the fellas in charge. So I hear people talking about Nutrimix flour going down and all them kind of things. And people saying they're waiting to see if the price of bread go fall, the price of KFC, the price of doubles. You know the conversation usually here. The conversation also seems to be that Trinidadians don't know how to protest. And if we used to protest and come together, we would not have these kind of issues, because in the States, I hear a man saying radio yesterday, in the States, if something only go by 5 cents is riot. I have never seen that happen in the States or anywhere for that matter. The reality is that humans, nobody ain't protesting for no price of flour going up. We go fuss, we go fight on them kind of things, but there are some simple concepts that explain why these things are. And I was talking in our class last week, and I was trying to tell them that, listen, when I was small, doubles was $1. Doubles is $6 now. That is thousands of percentage points increase, right? I can't add so well, but it's plenty, right? It went up by a lot, which is a significant increase in price. The issue is that because our doubles is a very small percentage of our salaries, whether you're making 150, you're making 10,000, or you're doing a little food drop, and you ain't making much at all, regardless of how much you're making. $6 is a small percentage of our income, right? An even smaller percentage of our income is $1, which is the dollar when it raised from 5 to 6. It is a small percentage of your income. So you tend to find that because of that, they have a concept called elasticity of demand, right? And they have something called inelastic demand. So picture a rubber band, right? A rubber band. A rubber band can either be very stretchy or not too stretchy. So when you're talking about elasticity, they're trying to say how stretchy the thing is, how responsive it is to something, right? So elasticity of demand, what we call price elasticity of demand, is how much does demand for a product change when the price of the product change. If when the price of the product change, the demand respond drastically, like a big stretch, they say it's elastic. It's supple. You know what I mean? It's supple, like Kiki. But if it's not supple and it's not, they call it inelastic. So in other words, a big price change doesn't lead to a big change in demand. And that's the reality about these types of consumer products. It has nothing to do with Trinidadians, we too dotish and we just accept it. It has nothing to do with that. It's just basic economics. And it is known. It is not uncommon. This is very common here. You go to economics class, you go learn this in class 2. This is not no revelation. And you know, the thing is, outside of economics class, we know this instinctively as well. They have some items in our household where no matter how the price change, we will not buy any more, any less. You know, a fellow named Elder, them fellows make me fall in love with econ, you know? Because when he explained this concept, the best explanation I hear of it is like salt, you know, table salt. He say if the price of salt drop by 99%, you guess they start to get salt for a cent. It don't mean you're gonna, just because the price fall, you're gonna just buy more salt, because the price is not responsive to price changes. How much of a salt you need that same amount of salt. And it is almost the same according to where the price rise, up to a certain point, of course, right? If the price rise to the point where it starts to become a significant part of your income, you will see a different type of curve, right? So I hope that makes sense. So the reality is that, think of this. All the fuss we make now about Nutrimix, my first thing is that nothing is going to move until flour mills make a move. And flour mills is likely to move because Nutrimix has moved, because you have to stay competitive now, right? They don't want to go and give up too much space. I say Nutrimix. Is that right? People are feeling like Nutrimix is like dog food and thing. I hope I have it right. Whoever said it last week is them I'm talking about, right? But in the Newsday this week, as predicted, the headline is NFM flour prices cut by 10%. Because if your competitor cut, you probably had to make a change, and you probably had to make it fast, especially as a market leader. And the market leader will probably hold the price until somebody else move. Unless they want to do something else with strategy concerned. But they have no reason to want to cut their price. Regardless of if the cost to them goes down, the reality is that they understand that the same amount of flour going and sell, even if the price remains at the point it's at now. Nothing will change, right? Because you buy any flour now, how much ever flour is used in your household, or you're buying the bread items or the KFC or the things that use flour, right? What in economics you call derived demand. The demand comes from the fact that people buy from Kiss and Kiss uses their thing, right? You ain't changing listen, you're not changing the amount of bread you buy because you have knowledge that the world market for flour gone down and now Kiss making more money off the bread and NFL. You're not doing that. Let me forget that idea. But if a competitor changes it, you probably will adjust to that. So it's a state-owned national flour mills has reduced its prices by around 10% on all its main retail brands of flour after monitoring world grain prices over the past few weeks. CEO Ian Mitchell said along with keeping an eye on the prices, the cost of freight and the other inputs contributed to this drop in light of what we now believe to be stable realized cost reductions. We could pause on that for a minute. He said, in light of what we now believe to be stable, realized cost reductions, an important statement, you know. He said, we have decided to pass the savings on to our customers. What he's trying to say there is the cost was dropped for some time now, but they have to sit down and monitor if this cost drop is sustainable or is it something that will remain low. Because what will happen is if that cost drop and they automatically drop their prices and that cost fluctuate again and go back up, people are going to be incensed, and then there's a whole situation about to deal with PR and all them kind of thing that it's not worth dealing with. So they have realized higher margins because, I mean, think of it, a profit margin is just where you pay for something versus where you sell it for, you know. So if I selling it and it's done on the shelf for $20 a pound and I was paying $12 a pound to bring it in and get it on the shelf, and then the price dropped to about $6 a pound. I just making $14 now where I was making it before. And them was eating up all them extra profits before. And I wouldn't come out and say, if I'm Ian Mitchell, I'll say, boy, you know, I decided to drop this price because them fellas dropped the price. I was enjoying my higher margin and eating good, and my stock price was looking better, and my performance and my bonus and thing. I wouldn't say that. I would more than likely say, in light of what we now believe to be stable, realized cost reductions, I decided to pass it on to the consumer because we care about the consumer. He added that the short, medium, and long-term objective of NFM's pricing decisions will always be to give consumers the best quality products from a safe, quality food certified flour producer at the most competitive price. Just understand that when he say most competitive price, that is exactly what he's saying. My competition drops, so I drop in. I have to stay competitive. That's a business decision. I mean, yes, I guess the consumer is part of it, but that's dollars and cents. That's bottom line decisions, right? So everybody here waited, including myself, to see if the price of groceries will go down because there are a few markers in our society. And the price of grain or the price of flour is one. The price of gas, I think we talked about that some episodes ago, where when the price of gas go up, you could expect everything else to go up, particularly diesel, right? The same could be said for flour, because flour is such a staple in the society. I tend to find that if the price of flour drop, general prices in the grocery should drop. I just want to go back to one thing he said here. He said, on keeping an eye on the prices, the cost of freight was also a part of it. He said it wasn't just the world prices of grain, it was also the cost of freight. Let me ask you something. The cost of freight, when you bring a container in a country, the cost of bringing in the container, does it fluctuate based on what you're bringing in the container? The answer to that is no, right? There are other costs that will fluctuate based on where you're bringing, like the duties and so on. But to bring in a container is to bring in a container. So if the cost of freight drop, shouldn't that mean that everything that comes in this country, the price should be going down? I think that's the more important discussion that we need to be having that people don't seem to be having. People want to see if Kiss drop their price. People also seem to think that when NFM drop their price and the other flour people drop their price, I think it's Nutrimix. When they drop their price, Kiss supposed to go around now in the store and scratch off all the price of all the bread and drop it immediately. It don't work that way. Whatever they paid for the inputs that they had before, them things still on the shelf. Them things that price change go happen on a cycle. So at this point, now having seen, Nutrimix is the people, man. Nutrimix is its competitor drops its price from 10 to 13% on Country Pride and Nutrimix premium grade flour. So what you will see happening more than likely is, I think the price of the bread will drop. Bread for sure, as a direct input on such a big portion, doubles. I think it will cause the price of doubles to hold. I don't think they're trying to drop the price of. I would be surprised if the price of doubles drop, right? But I think Kiss will drop the price of bread. Once Kiss make that move, Linda's and who else is a big competitor for bread in this country? Kiss and Linda's really are two big boys, eh? But they will make their move as well. Everybody will kind of wait on Kiss to make their move, and then they will adjust accordingly. Enjoy your higher margins until then, but the price will go down. What you're likely to see, though, is Kiss may well use this as part of their marketing campaign. Because why not? If your price is going down, consumers typically happy about that. So you might find that a big announcement and fanfare made around this so that everybody knows this thing, and they use that to build their brand or maintain their brand. They are one of the strongest brands in the country or in the region by far. So I feel that you're likely to see that. The last paragraph of this says, though retail prices have decreased, commercial customers are yet to receive the same good news, according to Peter George, owner of Linda's Bakery. He said, despite the retail price changes, nothing has changed in his operations. So we're finding that now you're not seeing the change in price at the cashier yet for the bread, but that probably likely to come out in the next couple months. I did hear from Paula Stacy this week. She went PriceSmart yesterday, and she was saying that she had noticed several price drops across the grocery as well. And I'm talking about regular items, like non-flour related items, things like broccoli and so on. I think we will continue to see that as a trend. You're seeing worldwide where the spike that happened with logistics during COVID, the correction seemed to be happening and the changes there, but everybody there will enjoy their higher margins or wait to see, according to Ian, if the prices stabilize, if it's a stabilized reduction in cost that they're facing, because you don't want to do and drop your price and then tomorrow you have to go and adjust that price upward again. There's a lot of work, especially in the supermarket space, because there's a deal that dropping your price though just mean telling consumers you could get it for 14 instead of 15. It also mean every deal you have with every outlet like Superfarm, all the groceries, all the gas stations, all those deals have to change, and that is a lot of adjustment to be made. But I expect that prices will go down. And to be honest with you, I'm happy about that, because you see this, what we went through, I find, to be honest, we went through a period of almost a year where the grocery bill was just getting higher and higher and higher every time you study how much groceries you had to buy. It's like the figure just keep going higher and higher. It's like it had no end to the raising. And at one point I told myself, but like Paula Stacy, she's spending all, you know what I mean? I say like she intend to she ain't waiting for me to Daiur and Keke Palmer the situation for she to take half, like she half up front. So what is going on? I don't understand it. But again, before I go on, I had to make sure I play on my Scrunter, because I'm done way behind on this Scrunter plate. So, another one of Scrunter's biggest hits. have. I read from the Express here. Post-pandemic improvement in SEA. Salute to all the teachers again, the parents, the children involved. We big them up last week, and then I saw this article come out, or the statement from the Minister of Education saying that they have a marked improvement in the performance of students' SEA examination. I want to congratulate these children, especially because they would have spent some of the years of preparation for SEA not under the best of conditions. Homeschool, a global pandemic, all kind of issues around it, all kind of mental, you know what I mean? The mental burden of dealing with that. We might see the outcome of that in years to come. Vaccine versus no vaccine and all the talk around it and so on. But these children seem to have been getting back their feet on the ground and getting themselves situated in schools to put in that work. And we had to congratulate them. The article goes through all the different marks and where the marks were increased and so on. I expect to see more of those increases. And it kind of shows that maybe we are a society that better off dealing with in person. I don't think, maybe that's unfair, because the infrastructure, I don't think, was put in place properly for children to work from home in the homeschool, what do you call that, online schooling. The infrastructure wasn't there, both from the standpoint of what the ministry was doing, how the teachers were prepared to deliver online classes, as well as our homes and the preparedness of the average home or the less than average home to be able to house sometimes 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 children to do homeschool in a proper way. And the kind of drilling and so on that would go into our system, our school system. And if you don't have that support home, you have an issue. So imagine if you do get that kind of drilling and you're distracted on the online class and you don't have that support home, you have a bigger minus. So it's a salute to these kids and everybody involved in the education system who got us there. But for as long as we maintain this same system of testing, I now find out last week that is only test maths and English now. I think we used to have 4 parts of our common entrance paper: maths, English, social studies, and science. But from what I understand now, they teach you social studies and science, but it's not directly on the curriculum as a subject. It might be worked into the maths and the English. But for as long as we have these 4 holy grails of knowledge that we have to learn, and there's an examination format from when you're done 6 and 7 years old, you don't have examination and testing as a means of identifying education. What I'm trying to say is that probably has to change too if we have to get success out of online classes. I'm reading more and more these days about the idea of neurodivergence. And I think it's an interesting concept. And it might have been with us all the time. Like, we know people who, we like to use words in Trinidad like special and slow. You know, as they say, slow. You're slow. Everybody else fast, but you slow. And now our language evolving and so on to talk about who on spectrum and who have different ways of learning. But the idea behind neurodivergence is just they have different type of minds, you know what I mean? And I spoke about this before. A lady by the name of Temple Grandin, who appeared on the Conspiracy or Goodness podcast. I believe it's on episode 137. And she is autistic, but she is one of the most sought after designers of cattle farming or cattle slaughterhouses and so on, to keep the cows calm, basically. And she says that what she does is walk through it so she could see what the cow's seeing. And she describes her mind as a visual mind. She said we have different types of minds. You know, we have the pattern recognition people who turn like mathematicians are pattern recognition people. We have visual minds and so on. So with different types of minds on neurodivergence, it's really a movement to start to understand that every person sees the world differently and processes information differently. Like some people, I didn't even know this, but like when some people think in words, like there's a voice track going on in their mind, which that happens to me. And some people think in pictures. So when they hear words, pictures pop up in their mind. That happens to me too. So I was actually surprised to know that they have some people who don't hear a voice in their head at all. I thought, I said, well, boy, it's either I mad or them mad. Because that's another word we like to use to you, mad. You say you're a little mental, you're a little slow, you know what I mean? We like to use terms and words like these. So I think that a part of what we have to protect ourselves in our education system is to address these kind of things. You know, when you're looking at crime and them things and societal degradation, we're looking at it from some of the wrong points, you know. We're still looking at it as a policing thing. But if you keep children in a system where some children will never do well in our education system, they cannot do well because of the same concept of neurodivergence. It is impossible for them to do well and learn in the environment we have created for them to do well and learn in. Even from the way the buildings look, to the way the lessons taught, to the way homework is done and so on, it is not going to work. They cannot matriculate into a further education system. And I'm not talking education here, just maths and English. If we like to talk about learning a trade, if, for instance, you have issues reading to learn, and I try to show you a book to tell you about plumbing, you're going to have problems. And we tend to teach in that way, where there's a theory and a practical. There's an examinable part. And if you can't pass both, you have a problem. So even if you had to learn electrical, if the theory part is not done in a way that caters to your type of mind, we're going to have a problem. And we tend to have a singularity in the way we see minds and the way we see learning, which I feel works against us. So while you have, I was talking about it last week, you have the higher scores or improving scores in SEA right now. You're hearing the stories about children who had a reset and so on, and then they're going to a life center and learn a trade. And my question is, like, learn the trade how? The same way you was trying to teach me in school? Or is it a different method of learning? Maybe we have to adjust these formats for our children to really be able to do well. Once you see you talking about children, right? As you get children on the docket, you have to play this, right?
You got to travel far. If the bus break down and you're taking a motor car, you hear one guy rape and kill in the cane. 2 days later, next one get rape again. Well, now I'm putting this thing in your head, so the police will get information if you were dead. Anytime you hear that, you school over and you get a drop with a motor car. Where there is Mazda, Corolla, Mac 2, darling, one thing I beg you to do. You hear? Don't study color, that could always change. Once you find the driver, look straight. Carol. Nothing to happen to you, because I don't know what I really do. Sacrificing to give you education, so that you will grow up to be something in time to come. Your daddy dead and it's me alone. After school, please try and find yourself home. You can't stay and see what's behind the wall, because Hindu priest raping school children and all. So anytime you hear that, you school over and you get a drop with a motor car. Carol. Where there is Mazda, Corolla, Mac 2, darling, one thing I beg you to do. You hear? Don't study color, that could always change. Once you find the driver, look straight. Carol. Never say you look you bust fear. Believe what I tell you and don't break stick in your hair. Don't mind how stupid my advice may sound.
As a mother, I don't want to see you go wrong.
friend that's carry you go, they don't bring you back. You know to yourself that this is a fact. I'm talking to you, you're sucking your teeth. But it's who in the kitchen does feel the heat. So anytime you hear that, you school over and you get a drop with a motor car. Carol, whether it's Mazda, Corolla, Mac 2, darling, one thing I beg you to do.
Take the number.
You hear?
Take the number.
Don't study color, that could always change. Once you find the driver, look straight.
Take the number. Carol, take the number.
My child, take the number. I see an article from Joel Julian. Joel Julian, one of the greatest it's ever had. And the man was Express twice, he worked Guardian twice. He just bidding up his price in these media streets. I love it. So they were talking about a 4-day work week. As we're talking them trying working from home or doing online school, is Trinidad and Tobago ready for a 4-day work week? Slightly different to the conversation about working online. Because I know some of the oil companies, BP have something like that, right? A 360, what is a 420? What is always do over there? 180, 540, 6. Me, you know what you think name? Radio 610. Them first and them have a thing where they play their working for a week straight and then they get every other Friday off or something like that. You know, I mean, they're just making so much money to be doing this kind of thing, you know. But New Zealand, going up to the Express here from Joel Julian. The New Zealand firm recently listed in Time magazine's 100 most influential companies for pioneering the idea of a 4-day work week, is actively looking for a partner in Trinidad and Tobago. But TNT will need to decide for itself if it's ready for opening up that discussion. In Time's 100 most influential companies in 2023, which included companies such as Apple, Disney, TikTok, and SpaceX, the 4-day week global was named as a disruptor. So the name of the company is 4-day week, right? And their company is basically moving around the world, basically trying to get countries or companies to buy into the idea of a 4-day work week. They have several pieces of research that show that what they're looking for is called work-life rebalance. And they quoted as saying the Monday to Friday grind is outdated. They argues the non-profit behind a raft of studies of what happens when workers drop a day without losing pay. Productivity doesn't fall, says their CEO Dale Whelan, because rested people perform better. They say during a 6-month pilot last year, attrition went down and revenues held. 92% of the participating businesses say they would stick with their schedule. So these fellas going around the world trying to get people to convert to a 4-day work week. And I wonder if we're ready for it. I would have liked Joel to not just do an interview on this, but it would be nice to have an opinion piece on this from somebody else. I think Joel is in charge of Express's business desk now. And I mean, the Express themselves have enough years of research and just catalog on knowledge, and him himself working in every media house in the country over the last few years. Have enough of what it takes to be able to put together an article that says what is the opinion of companies here about the 4-day work week, because he took the article from the angle of finding out more from the people who pioneering this movement. I want to ask you all feel Trinidad and Tobago ready for a 4-day work week? And which 4 days too? Can the 4-day work week here be, you still have your Saturday and Sunday off, but you go to work Monday and Tuesday. You get Wednesday off, and then you go to work Thursday and Friday. Or are we only looking for Monday or the Friday off to make 3-day weekends to fet and have river lime and curry duck and thing right through? I don't know. What all you prefer? What's the situation? Well, I tell me, you know, because and when I heard about it, so I was thinking about it in the context of the amount of holidays we already have. I wonder if people would be okay having a 4-day work week, and whenever a religious holiday comes up, that is the day that is off. So, for instance, when you have Eid, if Eid falling on a Thursday, your 4-day work week is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Would that be too disruptive to our society? Or can we just agree that we have every Friday off, every Friday of the year, and you work every other day? Forget when it's a holiday. No more holidays. Every Friday, so if Eid fall on the Wednesday, everybody celebrate Eid and we commemorate it on the Friday. Are we willing to go to this? Because the study is showing, and these are not the only people who doing this. You're seeing more and more around the world where people are trying to say that work-life balance is under threat. I personally don't find work-life balance to be a thing. I think I work right through at this point. It have very few moments where I'm not working or working on something or working towards something. But with the whole idea of work have a WhatsApp group and it have emails and it's just so many ways to contact one another, and you're under the gun right through. You're always on the clock kind of thing, right? Especially if you're moving into more senior positions or with more responsibility, or you're earning more, you're always on. It's just the world we're living in. You can't get out of the news cycle and you can't avoid work. There's the two things that seem to be happening without any of our control. So we gone all the way into work, where we've brought work home. We've created spaces in our homes for work. And I saw somebody post something the other day saying, you leave Jamaica or you leave Trinidad to go and live in the States to work to be able to afford a vacation to come back Trinidad. You know what I mean? And sometimes I feel like that's what we do. Like, I take on so much jobs and do so much work and trying to increase, you know what I mean? You're always on the go. And a 40-day work week seems to be a good idea, except that, like, I want to hear from the BP and the oil, whoever's the people who do the every Friday off. What does off mean? Off mean your boss can't contact you, you don't respond to emails. How does off look these days? Because if you could work from anywhere and you have devices that cause you to be in work or logged into work at all times or tuned into what is happening, does a 4-day work week really allow us to tune out completely, not focus on work and relax over that new version of our weekend? And like, the transition period and all sounding complicated, because if we are accustomed to Friday as a working day, you'll feel kind of awkward not going to work on a Friday at all, or not taking work calls, or not getting anything done. And there's a certain percentage of the population too who had to work. Police had to work. If you work in the supermarket or the pharmacy, had to work. Those places not going to close on a day-to-day basis. So assuming here they mean administrative and managerial type work and that kind of thing, or people who, if you're a safety man, you could get called out any day, or firemen. What is going to happen? So while I like the idea of, or the concept of a 4-day work week, I think the deeper thing for me is I like the idea of figuring out how to get back in tune with relaxation and let go some of the stress. They're saying stress is such a killer these days. Stress is the new smoking, right? You know, I mean, if there are ways for us to improve our work-life balance, or what these people call work-life rebalance, I think it's worth exploring. But I just found this article interesting in that a 4-day work week is not something I could necessarily believe. It's hard to believe. I feel like they go still send me messages on a Friday or whichever day we choose. I feel like in our society it will be even harder to implement, because we have this issue with about a month worth of holiday. How much holidays we have here now? About 30 holidays. We had to figure out how now we're going to include this in our busy schedule of holidaying, and how we're going to get the work done. And put that against the backdrop of schools that remain open 5 days a week, where children have to go to school in person. What does that mean for your home time? Like, one of the things I stand to realize now is nobody didn't warn me about this. All the time about children and development and all that. Now, when I had to drop this man karate, I might work from home on a Tuesday. Most Tuesdays I do. I working from home. And then after I done work now, whole day, I had to get up to carry this man karate for 5 o'clock. And find something to do for an hour while he doing karate. I want to join the karate class, but I keep hearing in my head, I have a movie where, no, it's from Dave Chappelle's show, where Rick James was saying Charlie Murphy doing karate among the little kids. I didn't like that. I keep hearing that in my head every time I say I join the karate class, but I'm tired and I drive out the road in the traffic, because now at 5, if you're leaving home 5 to go, you're going into the traffic when I was working home. So that dropping and picking up from karate getting to be stressful for me. Is like, what does this mean? So if we go into a 4-day work week, is it possible to address the idea of a 4-day school week as well? And I'm saying this against the context of, I told you all that Zachary had moved schools, right? And the school that he in now, salute to Mr. Quiller, and you know me, know the name of the blasted school, Mr. Quiller's school, right? Salute to Mr. Quiller's school. Me know the name of the school, but in her school, they have a 4-day school week. So what they do, they go to school 5 days a week, right? But the Friday is reserved for, I think they do swimming, they do tennis, and they play board games, they play football right in the yard and by the school there and so on. And I have seen a marked improvement in Zachary's schoolwork. More importantly, his attitude towards schoolwork, his attitude towards his extracurricular activities, his attitude towards school as a whole. And he, in his junior wisdom the other day, telling me, he said, since I was in boys' school, he said, I never like doing schoolwork on a Friday. He said, I find Friday should be a day to relax. And I tell him, I say, Zachary, how you come up with this? You now know that is a possibility for a 4-day school week. You had no idea that a 4-day school week could have existed. You're only saying that now is revisionist history, right? Is what I'm trying to tell him. See, an argument that we have in the trend. But his point was, no, he said Fridays feel like a relaxed day because it's the day before the weekend. This is what you're talking about boys' school, right? He said everybody feeling a little more relaxed, but we still pushing to do work. And he said then after lunch, everybody anticipating the weekend. And it's hard to focus. So you can't get a whole lot done anyway. So he said a lot of times when he was in school on a Friday, we wasn't doing much anyway. So it's like, why we don't just take this day off? And I was trying to tell him, I said, brother, if you do that, then the Thursday will feel exactly like that. But I feel he onto something here, which is, again, is 10-year-old wisdom or 11-year-old wisdom. He's seeing something because we all know what it feels like to be in work on a Friday. And Friday is a wind down type of day. And I'm saying that it will transfer to Thursday if we do that. But if there's a way to make us look, we still have to go to work or we still have to be there or be virtually there. But the day is a day for play. I always remember Miss Sinclair when we were doing common entrance. We do all the work and thing, and then a couple of days before common entrance, she carries us in the savannah to play cricket. And when I asked them about it, where's the point of this? It's to blow off steam and you study as hard as you could, you do as much work. So maybe as adults, we could take a pattern from Mr. Quilla and them, and find ways to make Friday a entertaining, team building, group working type of session where we detox from the week a little bit. Because if anything that it helps us do, rather than having a 4-day work week and a day where an additional day of the weekend, it might be really useful if we help the transition to the weekend. So we work real hard for 4 days, maybe even longer hours. I'm talking particularly for senior people here now. Maybe even longer hours where you work 8, or you typically work 8 hours a day. You might work 10 hours or 12 hours. Some of us just work long hours. Some of us have 2 jobs, right? But if in that job there's a recreation type activity, where there's a lime, I ain't talking about after work lime where you go and drink and drown your sorrows, right? A lime, a team builder, something exciting, something that we as adults could the equivalent of swimming or tennis or playing football with the partners to Zachary. If we do that and we treat the Friday as a transition type day, so that we create a sort of mental and physical separation between your work life and then when you go into your home life, you're coming in a more pleasant way and you enjoy your week and more to talk about among the family when you ask people. You know that kind of thing when everybody come home tired and they say, how was your day? And they say, good. Also that conversation happening. But anyway, that's just my thoughts, thinking out loud. And I am really here to play Scrunter. And one of the songs that I couldn't leave an episode without playing is one of the songs that he would have won the Calypso Monarch with. So I'm not sure how popular this song would be to people. Some people will know it off the bat, right? But if you don't know it, it's one of Scrunter's best.
I say I just get the will from Lord Kitchener. All you know the man, give me still a whole bag of soca. He says, "Con boy, I'm getting home. I'm leaving you to control. If you follow my instruction, will be murder in tongue when you next come back down. You go make them tumble down in the heart of town. You go make them to go ring. Let it rock and sway. I tell you when the band men and them start running, you turn on them drunk boy. Plenty woman go lost the husband in town. them want to make them tumble down. In the heart of town, you go make them think only. Let it rock and sway. I tell you when the fan men and them start running, you tune on them drum boy.
Plenty woman will lost their husband in town. One of the more memorable performances in a Calypso Monarch, because again, the song is about basically him saying that Kitchener pass it over to him, pass the baton, right? Pass the torch over to him. He get the will from Lord Kitchener, and Kitchener say, Scrunter, take it over. You go from here. And he brought out Kitchener on stage. I mean, masterful writing. I mean, Scrunter as a lyricist is bad. And masterful writing and everything, but that performance would have sealed it up, and he won that Calypso Monarch. I want to tell you the year, but I can't remember. I want to say 84. I will correct that if it's wrong. Let me Google it one time. I know it's early 80s, I think. Or it could be 88. Let me see the right thing. Calypso Monarch. History. Scrunt away. Yeah, 82. I was close. That wasn't bad. So the two songs was The Will and A Lickiting. A lickiting, a lickiting, a lickiting, a lickiting, a ling. Where there's Chinese eye and woman. So that's Scrunter here. And I have a few more Scrunter to play before the episode done. But I'm cleaning up some spillage before I get out here too, because the Hair issue continued, and I want to congratulate the ministry and the National Parent Teachers Association for coming together and making a decision that the hair issue will be reviewed and a new hair policy will be set by the ministry. Of course, the denominational bodies. I mean, one day I will come here and talk about that Concordat thing and the idea of religions running schools. And I'll talk about that in general, because there was a little documentary I'd seen. Was that a documentary or my favorite partner from the county council, Jason Charles Gordon, was talking about the Concordat the other day, and it was a really interesting perspective. I'll talk about it in full in an episode dedicated to that, because he was saying that people making fuss and want to take back the Concordat now, which basically guarantees a certain amount of spaces for the religious bodies in the schools. And his point was that our education system cannot do without the denominational bodies. I didn't think of it that way, to be honest, but when you look at how many schools are Catholic, Muslim, and Hindu schools, and if you take them out of the system completely and they shut down schools and all you have is the government schools, we have a big problem. It's a large percentage, right? When you look at the fact that a lot of the denominational schools are the ones that we consider prestige schools. You know, if you get a child to go to a Catholic or Muslim or a Hindu primary school and a Catholic, Muslim, or Hindu secondary school, you tend to find that the results in those schools are better, the number of scholarships are better, and so on. If that is the case, then it's something that happening in the denominational schools that we might be able to learn from and implement in the government schools to make them better schools. So it's hard to argue now that they can't defend the 20% of who they want to put in there. From the religious standpoint, if a religious body is investing in the education of the nation and by extension the future of the country, you can't deny them the opportunity to, I don't know if you want to call it inculcate, indoctrinate, convince, convert. They had to teach their religion. That is what they believe will give them eternal life and eternal peace and make the world a better place. So you're not going to be able to eliminate that. I went Catholic schools. I was an Anglican as a child. And I had to learn it in primary school. But in secondary school, where I had the option, I used to go in study hall. Not because I didn't want to learn the religion. I just wanted the free period. I want to go and lime, you know what I mean? Until for a grade to make me do religion, like if I was a Catholic. Salute to my guy. But it's just an interesting topic that I want to get back to at some point. But I'm saying all that to say, the ministry decided to review the policy, and the Hindu, the Sanathaman Damasaba, Mahasaba, they came out and started an issue with it. And the minister had to come back and say, well, listen, the denominational schools still have to make their own decision, because each school can have their own policy. Not just can, each school has their own policy and the way they do things. So there's that issue about the Concordat as well, where the government can make carte blanche decisions for the government schools and what they're supposed to do, and teachers in a government school will comply. But in the denominational schools, you're not under obligation to comply to all of them. You can institute some of your own rules and regulations. But I salute them for going back to look at it, because different hair of different texture have different styles. And I mean, we can't just continue to live in a world where you can't come to school with afro and then the rules are rules. People coming to talk to them about it. So I'm glad that both things happening. The boys get a punishment, that ship sail, but now we're reviewing it so that a principal may not be able to take that stance again. At least in the government schools. Denominational schools, they're probably still going to have the same rules. I just want you to remember, a lot of the schools that are denominational came from religions that was organized parts of colonialism and slavery. I just want to put that out there, right? Anglican and English and Roman Catholic. Just remember where some of these things come from. And the fact that those schools may never get to the point where they say afro as an acceptable hairstyle or cane rose as an acceptable hairstyle. But I salute to them, they make any first steps, right? Changes happen bit by bit. One of the things that these schools doing, where again the ministry have its guidelines, is that the ministry clearly puts out something saying, hey, when you pass for secondary school, you don't charge nothing. It's no registration fees, no nothing. But some of these schools charging loud money. I see the man the other day, he was very upset. He was very angry. He was amped. He needed a 4-day work week because this guy was upset. He was quarreling because his child passed for school. It's supposed to be a positive thing. It sounds like he have a few children, and every time they pass, he had to pay this thing. But apparently it's about $1,500 or $2,500 or something they were asked to pay when he went to the school. Asher is another one of them. Asher would be a denominational school as well, a Muslim school, right? And the letter reading from Asher that went to the parents, this is Form 1 children who now coming in, right? As a denominational / government assisted school, we depend in large on support from our parents and student body in maintaining and improving the standards of the college. To this end, upon registration of the college, a contribution of $3,000 is required. So it is not a registration fee in keeping with the ministry guidelines. It is a contribution, but it's required. It's not optional contribution. This is a collection we collected here. It's required. The payment will cover all of the areas below for 3 years, right? Now remember, secondary school is 5 to 7 years, right? So in other words, this is for 3 years. So in 3 years, we could body again for our next contribution, right? So it covers the registration package, not registration, the package, which would be your PE shirt and so on you collect, your security fees, the office fees, full-time ancillary staff salaries, part-time ancillary staff salaries, examination fees, lab fees for chemicals and equipment, co-curricular club fees, general school maintenance, and technology education fees. It's a lot. I like how these people put it, they say this contribution averages $75 a month for the 3-year period. You see marketing at its best. And it critically supports the provision of essential services required by your son's comfort and success. Link services are available at the college, or links. You could pay by card, that's what they're saying. And the PTA requires a one-time contribution of $500. So in all, when you go Asher the first time, you got to spend at $3,500. You got to jump out something solid. You don't spend all your money after common entrance, carrying these children and no trip all about the place, and you have them in 5 Islands every weekend, you celebrate, so you carrying them Disney, and then when you come back and they get the results, because results day used to be KFC for we, but results day now is TGI, everybody going loud, expensive place. Hold on to that TGI budget, because it might cost you $3,500 when the child pass for the first choice, it ain't gonna be cheap. I know firsthand that Fatima and them have similar things where Fatima has some contributions that have to be made. You're probably not hearing a lot about it because all these children Fatima went private schools, and they're good. They have it. These people have it. So they're not complaining about it. But it's one of the things that people seem to be upset with the denominational schools about this week as registration goes on for the new term starting in September. And boy, listen. It is known that the ministry typically does not give enough money to run the schools properly. The performance of the Astros and so on of this world shows that something happening, right? They're doing well by your children and getting your children. Maybe those schools considering neurodivergence in a different way, because you're seeing where the results as a body is better than a government school. And the results of the high-performing individuals is also better than the high-performing individuals in some of the government schools. Almost consistently across the board, you're seeing it. So it's clear that the funding for education is not fully there. And it is not abnormal for schools to raise funds. I remember I went to Fatima and I went Tranquil. So I've experience in a denominational school as well as a government school. And I could tell you, when Fatima sent out a donation sheet, them things come back fast and full. Walkathon, fast and full. Many times I see for myself, rather, because when I get a donation sheet, I used to go around in the neighborhood, ask people for $1, you know what I mean? I fill in the 25 space you're supposed to fill in, but when I fill in a donation sheet, it's $25, right? So if it had 25 space, $25. That's simple. They started changing then, and they started changing minimum amount is at $5. So if I have a thing and it's at 25 space, my thing filling out 5 by 25. I still can't work that out. I mismatch. So that was the thing. I remember seeing many children who come in and the 25 spaces had a line through it and one signature and $100. I mean, their father or whoever, he ain't going that donation sheet route. He just cross out, he put his name, he put 100, he say, right, carry that for them. So those schools raise money at a much, much faster rate than places like Tranquil. When I've been Tranquil give out a donation sheet, it's not coming back. It's gangsters. We thugs. We not bringing back no donation. I don't care about that donation sheet. And then simple thing, I used to play basketball for Tranquil and stuff. Right? I come home and talk to my boy Albier through the credit union. We had uniforms for the team, basketballs for the team, paint. We could have gone and paint our courts and so on, get a little sponsorship deal. And it is not the norm that you have somebody in, well, when I was in A-levels in Tranquil, the average student didn't have access to corporate decision makers who could just sponsor things. That is a very normal thing in Fatima. My father is the marketing manager here. My father is CEO of this place. My father owns a graphics company. Them things is pulled together real fast in the sports there, and them things are a different world in a school like Fatima versus a school like Tranquil. And it's true activities such as these, because while that fellow was very upset and complaining, he must be wishing his child had passed for the second choice at this point. Most of the parents in these denominational schools are not going to be complaining about it. They're going to contribute. They're going to see it as part of the education, see it as part of their obligation to making sure their child and the children that come after them have betterment, basically. And I saw it with Newtown Boys. We contribute all kind of things to Newtown Boys that I never see. When I went in an old building that was broken down after I leave, and they build a nice new building there. And it's a matter of having it or not, and your perspective of this, because if there are things to do in a school, if whatever school Zachary choose to go, if it is they say it have a fee or it have things to pay or it have things to contribute, I go try my best to figure out how I will contribute that. You know what I mean? But for the parents who can't afford it, it is going to be a difficult thing. And you're seeing it's not that a parent who can't afford it doesn't acknowledge that we don't need it. They might well say, yes, we could see why $75 a month would be a good contribution, but what happens if you don't have it? I think that this is something that the ministry, or I'm not even sure if this is something for the ministry to address, but there must be something that we put in place, even for the denominational boards, and the ministry could impose themselves on these situations where you can't just say, I can't pay the $3,500, so therefore you can't come to school. I wonder what the consequences are for the children who in Ashjo who can't pay this. What happens? I doubt you could tell them you can't come back to the school, right? And my instincts telling me that what could happen is that you have a vice principal or a principal or a teacher who could single out somebody and say, you don't even want to pay your parents what less, they wouldn't contribute. You know, I see that in school in my time. I know we live in a different era, but I see a lot of that in school in my time where a teacher will call you out and these things. You bring a donation sheet and the sheet's in full in. They say, we told you to fill out they used to tell you this like this part of the school work. You know, I shame to go and ask people for the dollar. Or I ask people and I ain't get enough because the socio-economic environment I come in from was different to most of the boys in Fatima. So when I went to Tranquil, I was more the norm than I was in Fatima. Them first and them in them kind of excuse for no donation sheet. So he's a name and shame. And I used to feel bad when you go back there and you can't get this thing full out. So it's something to keep an eye on as there's more and more tension that seems to be brewing between the denominational schools or the people who are covered by the Concordat and the Ministry of Education. And those things tend to bubble over when they become general and public issues. So the more they become a public issue, where the John public now upset because they're asking me for $3,500 extra, even more pressure would be there on the boards. But as I say, I'll go into it a little bit more on Jason Gordon address about the Concordat, and we'll take it from there. But here now, this episode done. I don't know if you realize that, but we at the end. This is real. I've seen a long list of things that that we didn't talk about. So there's going to be some spillage. I feel like at the point now where one of these weeks I had to double up. I don't see that coming already. I ain't promising you that it go happen this week, yeah? But I had to double up in one of these weeks to come. So before I go, I want to leave you with one of Scrunter's earlier hits. A song that it's just the feel of it, the bounce of it, the story behind it, all of it solid to me. And again, it just if you look back at I think I played 4 songs or 5 songs in this episode. If you look back at them, maybe I'll play 2. When you look back at them, just pay attention to the way Scrunter tell a story and the way he's put things together. I think he's one of the best, and I would say underrated when it comes to these things, because somehow his name doesn't come up in the conversation as when you're talking about the greatest of all time. And I think he deserves to be up there when we're talking Shadow and Sparrow and Kitchener and Rose. He needs to be up there in them conversations, because both quantity and quality of music is undeniable what Scrunter is able to do. So I will get you 2, and I only a Scrunter episode because this is not scratching the surface of the greatness of Scrunter. Most of his most popular songs I didn't even get time to play, but I want to leave you with 2. This one is called Lost Tenor, right? People tend to remember David Rudder with the man with the hammer going about Rudolph Charles after Rudolph Charles died. This was also a song dedicated to Rudolph Charles. And in the same way David Rudder was able to make fiction out of a real story. Rudolph Charles would be somebody he was with Despers, and he was a pan tuner and a ranger basically. I don't know, was he a ranger? But they say the whole idea with the hammer was basically organizing the band and drilling the band. But it's gangsters, them first one was bad. You know what I mean? So he recognized as a pioneer of pan and a stalwart of Despers. So Scrunter took the opportunity to dedicate a song to him in Daiur as well. But Hammer was such a big hit that this song tends to get lost. But I want you to listen to how Scrunter put together this song and the kind of storytelling that went in. This Lost Tenor.
This is Caribbean Vibes.
Taking a walk to the savannah to check out the panorama. Just as I was enjoying my stroll, I found that a night glittering just like gold. I took her up and I said, someone can roll away. Approaching the savannah with this lost tenor, as I meet the gate, the tenor gets in a rage. The master gone, he gone, he gone, he gone, he gone, he gone, he gone. Panorama day, our feelings to play. It's the only time that I really have fun, but he gone.
One of the greatest. Big song in the world. Big song. You know what I mean? It's a hard man to defeat. Last one I leave in here on one of Scrunter's earlier hits. Nice little groove, nice little bounce.
Shaking up in front of me, breaking up for me to see. Brandy whole night you following me, up and down in the party, flaunting your business for me to notice. Oh baby, I see you every time you dance. Girl, I see you in your sexy pants. Girl, I see you looking for romance. Anytime you walk, my heart skip a beat. Tell me how you looking so healthy and neat, giving my imagination a treat. Girl, I see you, see you, I see you. I see you, baby. You're looking nice, nice, nice. You're looking sweet, sweet, sweet. Check it out. Check it out. All right. All the time I'm watching you in the line, doing your do, showing me your sweet motion, attracting my devotion. You shift your torso, I get a free show. Oh baby, I see you when you bump and grind. I see you in front and behind. Girl, I see you because I'm not blind. Anytime you walk, my heart skip a beat. Oh, you're looking so healthy and neat, giving my imagination a treat. Girl, I see you, I see you, I see you.
I see you, baby.
You're looking nice, nice, nice. You're looking sweet, sweet, sweet. heaven in a paradise. Your torrid action color my vision.
Oh baby,
I see you every time you move. Girl, I see you getting in the groove. Girl, I see you because I'm not blind. Every time you walk,
let's get a beat.
how you looking for healthy and neat.
You're giving me imagination a treat, girl. I see you, I see you, I see you. I go see you next week.